Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a little bit of a while since the last time I did any kind of vlog. So as you know, from my previous video, I entitled it Huge Life Reset. So I want to explain to you with a little bit more of what is going on, a little bit of more of what that means. So a few days ago, I packed up a whole bunch of stuff to declutter, to get rid of, and I took all that stuff to Goodwill. My mother sent a couple boxes to take over. She took over a couple boxes because we went together in the afternoon yesterday. Yesterday evening, I packed up one more bag to go to take over to Goodwill. I got rid of a whole bunch of um like stuff like clothes, a whole bunch of knickknacks, bags and like old magazines, things like that. So what I packed last night were like a whole bunch of like gift bags that I wasn't using, that I know I'm not going to use, that I legit don't even have a use for. And there are certain things that I am going to hang on to, like my journals. That includes my prayer journals and my everyday journals. I was pretty cutthroat about it because I got rid of like probably a quarter of the clothes that I had that I wasn't wearing, that I knew I wasn't going to use. Um, and um, I got rid of like a whole bunch of other stuff, like I mentioned. So when it comes to my whole huge life reset, that's part of what's going on. I really need to take a step back and analyze my situation. Because to tell you the honest God's truth, I am in a low season. And let me explain to you what a low season is, all right? So low season is a period in your life that things all of a sudden just don't work for you. Like you're in the valley, so to speak. When it comes to your when it comes to life, you're basically in the valley. And just because certain things used to work in your life before, a few years ago, a few decades ago, whatever it is, that doesn't mean it's going to work in the here and now. And these days, I'm experiencing a lot of that, and in various areas of my life, like my personal life, my work, my home life, things like that. I don't want to get too much into details because I don't want to bore you with the details. Um, and I've been in dire need of change. And I've been thinking about not only decluttering, but I've been thinking about actually eventually moving out of the area. So for those of you who don't know, I live in Northeast PA in a small town called Mountaintop, PA. It's in the Wilkes-Barre Scranton area. I mean, I'm not gonna pack up my bags and move today. Let's just be real. That's not gonna happen right here, right now. There's a lot of planning that needs to be done. I was thinking of moving actually out of state. I'm just not 100% sure where. I was considering at least 4 or 5 different states. I was thinking about Wisconsin, Minnesota, Florida, Colorado, and California. Um I don't know like when this is gonna take place. It might not be for a while. And even if it does take a while, there's a lot of prep work to it. There's a lot of things I need to do beforehand. Um, I mean, I definitely want to get out of my comfort zone. That's one thing for sure. For a while, I was thinking about Florida only because the one time that I visited Florida was with my family, and that was during childhood. And um, we went to the grocery store there, and one of my parents picked up a book with listings, with the real estate listings in it. I think it was my mother who picked up the book. I mean, they used to be like freebies at the grocery store. So if you know like anything about that, you know what I'm talking about. Um, and I remember when we got back to our hotel, I was in the living room flipping through the pages. And I thought to myself that, it would be nice for me, when I get older, to move down to Florida, live on the beach, have a job there. Who knows if that's going to happen? Um, and like as much as I love Pennsylvania, I've gotten pretty used to it. I feel like I'm on the verge of outgrowing it too. I feel like I'm outgrowing my own current situation, which isn't a bad thing. Don't get me wrong, it's not a bad thing. But um whatever I decide to do, uh I'll let you know what's going on as time goes on, of course. And it may not be for a while. Like I said, I'm not gonna pack my bags and move today. Not this at this very second. That's not realistic. But it all starts with like little changes here and there. For example, best example is the decluttering, because a lot of the things that are in my current season I can't take to next season or next chapter. And that's not just narrowed down to physical possessions. That goes with the old habits, old way of thinkings, um, like negativity, like habitual sins. And even like people and situations, even just I mean, despite the fact that they're in this season and this chapter, that doesn't mean that all of them will be in the next chapter or season in my life. And I did take off quite a few people from my Facebook because we weren't really keeping in touch. We got along, but we weren't really keeping in touch. So I feel like, why keep them on Facebook when we're not even in touch? And um that's just like a big part of what I'm talking about. I don't need to be like hanging on to like any of the old stuff that just doesn't serve me. I can't be doing that. There's a lot of pruning that's going on, a lot of like inner work that I need to do, that I have to allow God and need to do a work on my heart. Um that's a big part of it too. And there's going to be a lot of letting go between this season and the next season, between the next this chapter and the next chapter of my life. Whatever that's going to be, whatever that's going to look like, whenever that's going to happen, there's going to be a lot of letting go of stuff. And like I said, it's not just material possessions. It's I'm being like very cutthroat about it because I don't want to hang on to anything that I don't need. I don't need to hang on to stuff that I don't want in my life anymore. And I've even noticed like a lot of shifts in some of my friendships too. For example, somebody that I knew for a really long time, we were best friends. I'm not saying that we're not, but she and I hardly talk to each other anymore. We don't call each other like we did it very often back in the day. She lives her own life. She works. She has this going on. This like that another thing going on. As do I. Um, would I let her go as a friend? Not unless something were to happen between us. But I feel like a shift in my friendship with this person. And that's okay. That's expected to happen when you're going through life. You can't always expect things to be exactly the same, because if things are exactly the same all the time, from start to finish, for a huge period of time, how are you supposed to grow as a person? I mean, there has to come to a point that you have to let go of what doesn't serve you anymore. And when I moved to Adams, New Jersey 12 years ago, I did a lot of letting go too. I don't chase after people anymore like I used to. I don't beg and plead for people to stay in my life like I used to. If people want to be in my life and we get along, that's fine. Let it be so. But if people, for whatever reason, choose to leave, I just let them go. I don't care anymore. I mean, I don't, and I also know that I don't have to prove anything to anybody. I don't have to prove anything to my family, my friends, people in my close circle of associates, whoever they happen to be, um, because I know who I am, in the Lord. I know who um God created me to be. And he created me to be me. He created me the way he did for a reason. And when I was living in Jersey, I used to be bullied by and abused by a coworker for 5 years, and I wanted to prove to her so much that I'm not a bad person, and because she had this like false idea and image of me in her head, inside of her head, of what kind of person she thought I was, and I tried to combat that. And the more I tried to combat that, the more it was an epic fail because she bought into what she bought into about me, and she wasn't going to change that. And ultimately, I gave up with that. I look back and I realized what a waste of time that was. I was trying to prove myself to wrong people, not just her, but people in her close circle too. And it's just a waste of time. It really is a waste of time trying to prove yourself to other people, especially to the wrong people. Especially to wrong people. Because when you're like encircled with a whole lot of people that are not right for you, they're not good for you, and you try to prove yourself to them, they take advantage of that. And they turn that against you. So it's a waste of time. And that was a hard earned lesson that I had to learn way back then. And would I ever go back to that situation? Would I ever go back to keeping in touch with any of these people at that old job? No. Nope. Absolutely not. I'm not doing it. It's a waste of time. And looking back, I should have been out of there a lot sooner than I left. And I was at that job for 7 years. And 5 of the 7 years, that's all she ever did. And I wanted things to work out between me and her as coworkers, as people. And it was an epic fail. And that's not on me. That was on her because she chose to make that choice. And again, I'm gonna let you know what's gonna be going on. And I figured I'd give you pretty much the lowdown of my low period of life. And I'm not saying that things are down in the dumps. Not exactly. But it's just that I feel like certain things are shifting my life. I feel like God is propelling me in a new direction. I just don't know where this all is going. That's what it is. I don't know where this whole thing is going. But sooner or later I'm gonna find that out. And all I have to do is trust the Lord with the situation. All I have to do is just surrender all to Him. And stop clinging so much to stuff, because that's not going to work. Clinging never works for anybody. And, like I said, when you hang on so tightly to stuff, it's a waste of time. You're wasting your time and energy on things that you don't need to be. And I have to I even have to remind myself that, like, why am I so focused on this, that, and other thing when it really doesn't matter at the end of the day? Why does that matter here or now? And I'm just, I don't want to say I'm in a frenzy, but there are times as to where I felt upset about the situation. Like, I questioned, like, why aren't things working the way they used to? And I'm not saying everything's an epic fail. I'm not saying that everything that I touch is an epic fail. No. But it's not how it used to be. And I really feel like God is shifting me into new season or new chapter or both. And I'll keep you all updated on what's been going on, what goes on, and where God is leading me. And we'll take it from there. Bye, guys. Have a blessed day.